Big Snipe Beats.
So, Melissa, I have to tell you, I'm such a fan of your work. We were kind of chatting in the back, right?
Oh, thank y'all.
Your clothes and the colors and the patterns.
Thank you.
You know, they're the kind of thing that inspires
Yes.
and uplifts. And I know that's deliberate.
Yes, ma'am, of course.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you, and for, who knows Melissa's work?
A little
Yes?
bit, kind of, sort of,
Yeah?
a little bit. Okay.
Well, real quick, for those who don't, give us a quick overview of who you are. You know, she has this partnership with Spanx that's coming out soon.
I have on my bra today. I'll show you
She
later.
has her Spanx bra on
Okay.
today. She's done some work with Ford, a regular at Essence Festival. So how did you get to that point? How did you?
So,
become-
long story short, I have to give my elevator spiel. I like to say I became a painter by mistake. In 2014, I found my artistic gift at home during the snowstorm, picked up a brush, decided that was something that I would love to do, and God just gave me incredible favor in the art world. And so from that point on, I've just been creating. And so, as she mentioned, I took a leap of faith and applied for a project that Spanx was doing where you get to design a pair of underwear and bra. And I was like, my stuff too bright. They may not choose me. I'm just going to apply anyway. So on the last day at 10:52 p.m., I got my application in. I ended up becoming one of the top 3 finalists around the world. And then, of course, Atlanta and my FAMU network helped me win. And I ended up being the designer chosen. And my collection finally comes out on Tuesday, June 25th. So,
Where can they buy that collection?
they'll be able to buy it online and in Spanx stores. And so there's so many other things that are involved with my different projects. And I also won a Ford for 2 years from the Ford Motor Company at Essence Festival last year. So after 13,000 miles, I'll be traveling to New Orleans to say thank you to all the people who supported me and just to show that that it's okay to follow your gifts and that it'll open great doors. So yes, I'm here today to tell the rest of my story.
One of the things I love about your story is that you're self-taught.
Absolutely.
And so what does that mean, particularly as an artist? What does it mean to be self-taught?
Well, self-taught is literally, for me, was picking up a brush and just doing some random sketches and not really allowing outside influences to change my gift. And so I just went with the spirit, put on some music, and just went with my emotions and let it just take flight from there. And so with being self-taught, I had to really learn how to fly on my own. I just jumped off the cliff in the art world and just found friends along the way. We talked about Fabian Williams earlier, and I have a lot of, speaking of which, I have a lot of friends in the art community that I've just pulled on, but I've learned how to fly on my own because I think it's important, and Sarah Blakely talks about it all the time. Sometimes it's good not to know. Because sometimes when you know too much, you actually fail when you know too much. It's like, oh, I didn't know if I went outside that I would get a cold. You know, grandma said you go outside, but sometimes if you don't know things, then you avoid the consequences. And so for me as an artist, teaching myself the game of art was very, I get to own every part of it. Even when I was trying to get art onto clothing and different fabrics, I taught myself how to do it. I have a PR background, but I also had a minor in graphic design. So I had to pull on all of my talents to figure this out. My father passed away in 2010. He was actually a designer, and he was trying to teach me the game, but he passed away before he could do it. And so I had to go through all of his old notebooks. I went to all his old contacts and tried to teach myself the game and just really relied on my spirit of my ancestors to figure it out. And here we are. I'm actually designing exactly what my dad did 10 years ago.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So what didn't you know?
With art, it's very difficult. I mean, like I was even talking to a young lady here today about the art. I mean, I didn't even know how to use pigments. I mean, you didn't know what kind of markers to use, what kind of paints to use, what kind of canvas to use. And so as I'm going through I ask questions. I'm at the gallery, I said, what's this? What does this do? What about this? And learning that certain canvases, you can't sell a canvas that you paid $3 for $1,000. You need to actually spend more money on your supplies. And so literally every day I'm trying to teach myself something new. Even when I'm not painting, I'm doing something art related every single day of the week. I'm constantly learning.
So someone who is self-taught, you know, what do you think is the benefit of kind of that outsider status?
Being outside of the art world, so to speak, you're not impacted or influenced by other designs. I think a lot of times when you're deep in the art game, you're looking like, well, dang, Fabian got a mural, why I ain't getting no mural? You know, why didn't they call me? And a lot of times when you're in your own lane, you don't really know who's on the left or right because you're very tunnel vision. So when it came to designing and being in all these different contests, I couldn't really worry about what other people were doing because I didn't really know, right? And so I wasn't hanging out doing murals on the streets and doing different things. I literally casted my net and whatever belonged to me came back to me. So I was really, really driven by faith and just really just being blind in the whole game of what was to my left and what to my right.
But you did have this background that was more kind of marketing and advertising. So even though you are self-taught and relatively new, right? 2014 is when you started. You've had some great success.
Just a
right?
little bit,
So
just a
some
little
big
bit.
brands, right?
Yes.
So how did you get there? So you had the ideas, you had the paints, but then you were able to turn the creative into a sustainable business.
I think what's so important about my success is that I was ready every time the phone rang. I think as artists or just as business people in general, we talk about all these great things you want to accomplish, all the things you want to do, but we're not really ready. I just got a call last week from Ford and pertaining to Essence, say, hey, we need you to be ready to ship some artwork in 2 days. Normally, a normal person would freak out from that, but for me as an artist, I literally have art waiting in case I get a call. When it comes to all these different corporations, I literally have my press kit already ready in an email to send out. I have my headshots in a folder to send out. And so what happens with a lot of people who have these gifts, they don't have a system in place. So when you get a call to do something like, oh shoot, come on, can you send me so-and-so? Can you help me with this? You know, so you're constantly scrambling. But every time I get a call, I'm ready. They're like, wow, you're so professional. I said, I've been waiting on this for a long time. So when the call comes, I am absolutely ready. And so even when it comes to Instagram, every morning between 5 and 6 o'clock, I'm writing out my devotion. So that's when God speaks to me. So that's when I speak to people on the internet. So sometimes I'll pull up, so what's going on? Why you ain't been on? I said, God ain't telling me to say nothing. So I'm not talking to y'all. And so I'm constantly very, very keenly aware of what I should be saying to people. I'm deliberate with my words, deliberate with what I wear, deliberate what time I do things. I'm very, very, very intentional. I think that as you manifest and push things out, you have to be cognizant of everything you do and everywhere you go, even the things you eat, even the company that you keep. Thank you. Like I haven't had chicken since, Lord, I'm so hungry, since May. Because I know I'm about to be in this new space bra and I need to be consecrated and skinny for these pictures. Right. I haven't even had a chocolate chip cookie because I know that it takes certain kind of discipline. And for me, you don't understand, I'm a chocolate chip cookie girl, right? And so I said, well, Lord, I want to be ready for this. So those are some things he told me I need to give up. And people think, well, that's no big deal. But for me, because I was so committed and so in love with these things, I'm willing to give those up. And as an artist or as a manifester, you have to be willing to give things up. A lot of times we're so committed to, oh, this is what I do every Saturday, so I'm going to hang out. You have to give those Saturdays up. So I have not been out. I have not gone out. I have not gone on any dates. I'm very, very keenly aware of what I need to be doing for the success that I'm asking for next Tuesday. So I've set myself aside to prepare for that. So when it comes to all these big deals and all these things, Melissa's always ready because she's always set aside and preparing herself for what she's asking for. So that's how I'm able to do these different things.
And I know faith is a big part of that.
Absolutely.
So have you always been someone who is very rooted in the spiritual? You talked a lot about manifesting and energy and all those things. So has that always been where you operated, or is it something that you developed over time?
Well, my parents are pastors. My dad was a pastor for 20 plus years before he passed away. I was the first member of the church at 2 years old. So I've always been around spirituality and, well, I really want to say religion because, you go to church 3-4 days a week, all those good things. So, but as I got older, you go off to college, you have to find God for yourself. You know your mom and your grandmama and them God. But I had to find Melissa's God. And so, going through college and praying that I passed the exam, praying that I make the sorority line, which I did, praying that I get the right grades and all those different things. And then as I got older, when my dad passed away, I was the last person he called, spoke to him on the phone, didn't know he was dying at the time, but he was dying when I was on the phone with him. And so I had to find God for myself to find peace with that transition. And so being in the room with him as he passed away, I said, well, Lord, is everything in life going to have us end up in this room? Is this what it is? And God is saying, what is that dash going to look like for you? And so when I learned that that dash was so significant, I said, my life has to have some sort of meaning. So that dash to me meant I had to do something else when it comes to my spirituality. So I literally barefoot got in the ground, got grounded in the word. I wasn't going to church as much because I knew that I didn't want to be distracted by what they were telling me in the pulpit. I wanted a one-on-one situation with God. And so after my dad passed 2010, I really sought God for myself and strengthened my relationship with him. And when I became a painter, actually my paintings are my prayers on canvas. And so people's like, I just feel something I see at work. I said, that was my time with God. And so my spirituality, as it grew, my work grew. And as my work grew, I got the attention of the right people. So I've worked with the brands that have been on my dream boards for the past 15 years. So people think it's overnight success, but it's really, you see the success that I've been praying for through the night. So nothing has happened overnight. It's all been deliberate and just been prayed for. And so that's how I got to this point.
Something else we were talking about was because you are, right?
Yeah.
You are the hot shit right now, right?
I mean,
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But you have a lot of opportunities, a lot of people coming to you,
Yes.
and that discernment to
Yes.
decide which opportunities are the right.
Yes.
How do you go about that, and what are you looking for when you're partnering with somebody?
It's really believing in the message that people have. I've had a couple of other corporations that I won't even name that I just like, I can't put my name on that. I see what y'all are really doing with the other brand things you're doing, and I just can't put Melissa Mitchell with that. And like I told you
Is that
before,
scary when you
it's
pass
scary.
up those opportunities?
It's scary, and I have a full-time job, so money to me is not my ultimate objective. I would love to be a millionaire by tomorrow, but it's some things you have to be willing to sacrifice. And a lot of people, specifically artists, are taking advantage of. It's like, I also know how to sing, right? And so I used to sing in a band. I didn't like going to practice, but I went anyway. But they want to give you, throw a couple $100s at you, but your talent feels like it's being misused. And so as an artist, you have to be very, very keenly aware who you sell your pieces to. Like, even when I have shows, if I'm not feeling your energy, I'm not selling my art to you. I don't care if you got Cash App, Venmo, all these different things. Oh, well, you're not selling this? I know it's not for sale today. I just want my pieces to end up in the right homes. And so when it comes to saying no to these companies, you have to control your narrative. Your stuff may be misused. I mean, because I am a print artist, I don't want my stuff to end up in the wrong home, and then now they're designing stuff and saying you didn't have the right clause, they're reading the fine line and misusing your gift. And so you really have to trust your instinct. But that spiritual work is years and years of discernment. Years and years of making the wrong decisions, having the wrong relationships, the wrong business relationships. So it's been a buildup of knowing how to say no. It is scary to miss out on 10 grand, but if I wait 2 or 3 years, I may get a call for 100 grand. So I'm willing to wait on that 100 grand call.
And so that back end, right? So the discernment of saying, yes, I want to work with you, I don't want to work with you, but then the business part of it, right?
Yes.
So what does your team look like? Do you have an attorney when a deal hits your desk?
Absolutely.
Then what happens with that?
So, of course, my team is comprised of my family. I have my sister.
I did notice
yes,
that.
my
I love
sister's my
that.
publicist. My baby sister, she's my operations director, which means she ships all my packages. And so my mom is my CEO. I call her my chief emotional officer. She keeps me together. And so my cousin is one of my stylists that helps me put things together. And I built my team based upon my family legacy. For me, of course, money is great, but when you build with your team, you can look to your left and right and say, y'all, we did this. And knowing that my dad was so big on family, for me, it was all about business. So, and I just so happen to have 3 best friends that are attorneys. So I'm like, what does this look like to you? So even when I applied for the Spanx thing, I was like, well, is this gonna be enough money? I said, what should be my asking point? She said, well, ask for this amount, but the non-monetary value, working with a brand that's $1 billion corporation, you can't put a dollar amount on me being exposed to 2 billion people on Tuesday. I can't put a dollar amount on that. So I'd rather take a $100 deal with Spanx than taking a $50,000 deal with the Atlanta Falcons. No disrespect to them. So you think about the brands and the value that they can bring to you. Love Sarah Blakely's story. She actually wanted to be an attorney. I did too. So our stories are parallel. They align. So me being part of that brand is bigger than saying, oh, I want to have a bra. It's the story, it's the alignment, and it's the stepping stone to get to the Oprahs and to the Michelle Obamas and all the different things that I will manifest really, really soon.
How did you end up in Vogue, by the way?
So that was a faith walk. When I first started making head wraps, the first thing I said, I would love to see Lupita in a head wrap. And my sister went, well, how's that gonna happen? I said, I'm just gonna DM her stylist. She was like, okay, girl. I said, I'm just gonna DM her stylist. So I'm DMing him. He's in London, I didn't know at the time. I DM him 3 or 4 times. I'm like, well, child, let me leave these people alone if I get blocked on Instagram, right?
Before the feds call.
And so 4 o'clock in the morning, I get a notification from Vernon. His name is Vernon. He says, hey, Lupita loves your stuff. Ship us a couple head wraps out to London. I said, Lupita? I leave my job. I got my ID on. I'm at that say, how do I get stuff to London? I have never shipped anything internationally. I don't care what it costs. I'm spending like $150 overnight.
Absolutely, you don't care.
And so I send it over there. I don't hear anything for months. I was like, okay, child. I said, I done spent this little money. I said, Lord, I'm trusting you, whatever. And so I'm thinking nothing happened, right? Apparently, she had been traveling so much with the head wrap, she hadn't taken photos of it. So when Vogue called her to say, what are your favorite things to travel with, she pulls out the exact print that you have on, the Antoinette head wrap out of her bag, and said, this is one of my favorite head wraps. I travel with it all over the world. One of my head wraps. So it took 8 months for that to come to life, but I didn't become discouraged. I just moved on. You plant these seeds and you're looking for the tree the next day. And that saying goes, the trees you plant, the seeds you plant today are not the trees you see tomorrow. You have to literally wait the process. So that's even with Spanx. I'm planting the seeds that I want for the $1 billion brand that I know that I will be. And I'm not waiting on a $1 million check to be written on Tuesday. That $1 million check may come 2024, but I planted the seed on January 25th, 2019. And I'm confident that it's going to grow and things don't come to fruition that they should. But you have to have a whole lot of faith and a whole lot of patience to see the kind of growth that I've gotten.
What have you learned about your art and your business from the deal with Spanx?
I've learned to be confident in my artistic voice because it was so easy to get discouraged. I was up against a dope artist out of Paris. I'm like, she from Paris, like she probably gonna win. I said, well, good, she cute. I mean, her stuff nice. I mean, whatever. I'm from Atlanta, you know. And so, you know, I was downgrading myself, like, oh, well, her stuff is nice. I'm looking at both. My sister's like, girl, but look at you fly. I was like, yeah, but her stuff she from Paris, like, you know. And so my mom was like, girl, get off the internet. That's what you're gonna do first. Get off the internet and go back to your childhood pictures. See that little girl, the glimmer in her eye. Remember who you were. Read your father's obituary. You know, see the power of what a life means of legacy. Because even if you don't win, you got a whole lot further than those little girls in Miami that you grew up with. And so when I started looking at perspective, even my closed door are some doors people would never get to. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna sit in this room, and I wrote 4 years ago, I said, one day I'm gonna sit in boardrooms with head wraps on. And so my first meeting with the Spanx team, I had on a head wrap, and they were all in awe. They said, you look like a queen. I said, oh, that was deliberate. And so they called me queen. And so when you actually come into the room with the confidence and the knowing of who you are, people begin to call you that without you even having to introduce yourself. And so when I came into that room, I actually had like a ripple effect. Like everybody in the room just started smiling. They wanted head wraps. They wanted to know the power of how I got to this place. And so I always say that I traded my pulpit for a paintbrush because my father and my mother, of course, they wanted me to be a pastor. And I said, that's not my ministry. I like to get tattoos. I like tights. I like cute stuff. And so, but I've been able to spread the gospel of purpose and manifesting through having a paintbrush in my hand. And so what's so dope about the Spanx contest is that I'm planning my own marketing campaign. I planned my own photo shoot. I told them what I wanted to do. My event is going to look like a Melissa Mitchell production on Tuesday. And so I'm just excited that I get to be me and get paid for it. And that's exactly what Spanx allowed me to do.
I mean, what about on the manufacturing end? Have you picked up any knowledge?
Lord,
I'm assuming, right?
Listen, yes. Even yesterday, I'm making some special limited edition products for Essence Festival. The bags that came in, the zippers melted together. So I'm having a meltdown. I said, Lord, I got to get this guy. You know, we're figuring it out. We on websites, one person on the phone, one person on a laptop. They're pulling samples out of the sky. And God is saying, I got you this far. You got to trust me. Now, mind you, I got to get all this stuff shipped to New Orleans next week. In the middle of launching a campaign with Spanx. In the middle of having to leave from New York on Wednesday. And I said, you know what? Every day I have to trust God for my daily bread. I can't worry about next Tuesday because I'm not done with this Wednesday. And as a business owner, we have to stop stressing about things that we can't control, right? I'm gonna do what I can up until tonight, and I'm just going to bed. Y'all can figure the rest out, Lord. I'm not dealing with that. And so I've had to learn that with manufacturing, there are things that I can't control. Like I don't take pre-orders because I know that these things are very, very unique. I'm waiting on the extra tights right now that are supposed to be a Tuesday. It won't get here till Wednesday. And guess what? Y'all will get them on whenever they get here, you know? And so I can't worry about what I can't control. And I think with production, there's a lot of human error involved. And when you're human, you have error. And so that's okay. And so I leave it to where it is. I control what I can. I sell what I can. And when it sells out, y'all can wait, because I got to wait. And that's what I've learned with manufacturing, is just really learning the process and just trusting how things fall where they fall.
To loop back to you being self-taught.
Yeah.
You know, so we talked about some of the positives. What were some of the challenges of being a self-taught artist in particular?
Being a self-taught artist is learning your artistic voice, because for me, an artist is a person who draws a portrait, right? Like, oh, she draws a face, she's an artist. And so because I was a unique shape and color artist, I had to say, it's okay for me not to be drawing faces. Now, I can draw them, but that may not be my strong suit. So I had to learn to really, really become confident in what happens when it comes out of the brush with me. I think a lot of times as artists, we look at, oh, the Maya Baileys or the Fabian Williams, all the other dope artists. Right, yeah, right. But you know, I really look up to them, and I just sat on a panel with some of the people that I respect the most 2 weeks ago, and God was just saying, you belong here just like everybody else, and that your gift has ushered you into these rooms, and that you have to trust whatever it is that comes out of you. Being self-taught, it's so easy to say, is this right, is it wrong? You know, is this right, is it wrong? And you're like, you know what, if it came from you, it's right. This is the voice that you've been given, and trusting the language that God has given you to speak in. And so being self-taught for me is just trusting who I am and what happens with my gift.
One other thing I think is amazing is that you have so much respect from established artists who have been doing this for 15, 20 years. You know, why do you think that is? What do they see in you?
I think when you're in the game, whether you've been in it a year or 100 years, is to remain humble, because at any moment, all of this can be taken away. I've seen that. I mean, and I don't talk about it often, but I spent a greater part of the year in the hospital, just sick and not knowing how to do things, and having to really, really be vulnerable. And so I understand that when you're in the game, you have to understand that everybody has a story. And that whether I've been in this 5 years or 100 years, I respect what God has done with you. And respect and humbleness is really, really what gets you and keeps you in the game. And you know the saying that goes, treating the janitor with the same respect as the CEO, I would be sitting here talking to whoever. I'm always willing to have a conversation and share my story with anybody. And so I think when people see that, and you can see that in my work, it's like I'm not trying to say I'm the best, I'm the worst, I am Melissa. And because they can see the true identity and owning of my story, people can really respect that. And people are like, wow, that's something I can respect. And I think that's, as an artist, I see me and you, and people can respect that for sure.
What is the one thing that you wish you had known about the creative game when you first started? That 2014, you're in your garage looking for paintbrushes, you know?
Yeah. I just think that there's no rules to it. I think a lot of times you think, oh, I need to sell at a gallery. Oh, I need to have an agent. Or you think you have to need all this stuff. And what's so unique about my story is that I changed the game. I don't have an agent. I'm not in galleries. I decide when I want to sell. I decide when I want to put on my website. I don't have any prints because I don't want to. I create the rules, and I just roll with how I roll, and I'm okay with that. People, why don't you sell? I said, well, I don't want to. I just don't because I don't want to. And I'm okay with not wanting to do something. And I was just talking to a young lady earlier. If I don't feel good, I'm just not going to do it. And I'm okay with saying no. And no is one of the best words you can learn in the game. No, I don't want to do it. Why? I just don't. And that's it. No is a complete sentence for me. And I've learned that over and over again to just say no and roll with the no. And I think that a lot of people are so afraid that they won't be accepted because they have to say yes. And I'm more accepting of saying no. I've said no to so many collaborations, so many art shows, even events leading up to next week. I've been very keenly separating myself just from the art world so I can make sure that I'm ready for whatever comes when Sarah Blakely posts me on her page and all the people that are going to be coming to my page. And I say, you know, I want to be set aside for what God is about to do. And so I say no when I want to.
Yeah, we talked about that, just how you were kind of taking a step back, making sure that you were focused. Yeah. So what does that mean for relationships? And I'm not even talking romantic. I'm talking about friends and family, you know.
It is, I mean, and we can just go there. Let's just go on there. I would say, what interesting text, interesting. So relationships as a creative, it's very daunting.
Because, you know, the reputation is creatives are selfish.
And it's not even selfish because I treat my relationship like canvas. I come into it with a blank canvas every time. Like, I don't blame you for this, I don't blame you for that. But we also like to hold the brush in relationships the same way. We want to control some things. If I want to make this purple, I want to make it purple. And he may not be a purple brother. He may want to wear, well, he's going to wear purple and gold more than likely. But but you want to make it black. You want to make it yellow. So you want to change the colors, but you can't change colors on people. And so when it comes to manifesting, you know, I can manifest things, but I can't manifest people. And so you have to learn that when relationships, you can't do certain things with human beings. And so what I have learned to really, really let God hold the brush in every area. As an artist, because as an artist we think we control things. Oh, I don't like the way this look, I can change the canvas, I can change these things. And God is the greatest artist and the greatest author. And so when it comes to my friendships, I've had to say, hey, I'm just not going out. I have a really, really good understanding group of friends, and friends that get jealous or get upset with me saying no, I kind of know where they kind of fit within my story. Because when it comes to my event next week, it's a lot of folk that aren't invited. Not because I don't like them, but when it comes to celebrate what God has done for me, it's people that have been in trenches for years that know, that are just say, I'm just calling to say I love you. I know you ain't been out in a while, just calling to check on you. And those are the friends that I want in the room to celebrate when I release this stuff globally. It's just knowing who needs to be in your corner. And God will reveal who needs to be there, who doesn't need to be there. And so relationships are challenging, but the same way I can manifest $1 billion deal, I can manifest $1 billion relationship. And I know that in this season, it takes a keen amount of focus. And so I'm okay with whatever God is doing, and just understanding that being set aside means being set aside. And you can't just take on energies of different friendships and people during that process. So just being keenly aware of that.
So the one thing I keep hearing is this discernment, right?
Honey.
In deals,
Yes.
in friendships,
Yes.
in
Yes.
the work that you're making.
Yeah.
When you talk to other people about that, what do you think they're missing when you're talking about discernment? Like, do you see it manifesting in other people?
Right. I just think people don't trust their gut enough. We keep hearing this voice behind them saying, don't go out tonight, don't do this, don't do that. You just think, oh, you just kind of dismiss it, right? But the night you go out is when you end up getting arrested or getting in an accident, or the club doesn't let you in, or something happens. You're like, dang, I should have listened to myself. And sometimes you have to just learn how to keenly just fine tune that, really, that voice. Like, don't park in this place. Or like today I said, Lord, I need to see a rainbow. And I said, God, I want to see a rainbow. And I was like, it's such a weird ass. I said, I want to see a rainbow. I'm leaving from by the airport, and literally a rainbow is going over the airport with the airplane coming from under it. I'm like screaming and crying. I know a lot of people are like, you saw the rainbow. And I was like, Lord, I want to see a rainbow. I just want to know it's going to be a good day. I hadn't seen a rainbow all week.
Thank you for that.
And so, but just little things like that. So I test the universe all the time. Like, oh, I want to find a penny in the ground. There go a penny. Just always finding little ways. But I'm constantly testing and finding ways to just talk to God, just me and God. Like, God, I want somebody to call me today. I'm like, there go God, So just little things like that. I'm constantly, every day I'm listening to probably 5 to 10 podcasts a day.
Which podcast are you listening to?
I like Stephen Furtick. I listen to Tori Roberts. Travis Green has one. I listen to How I Built This, Lewis Howes, anything Ayanla when she's not trying to fix your life sometimes. She has good meat. And it's really picking and choosing what fits you. Because a lot of times you may sit in church and nothing really, really gets your bones, but you may hear an anointed worship. You're like, wow, God, I just need to be ministered to today. But you have to constantly feed your inner man. I go to sleep with stuff playing. Even if I'm not listening to it, I'm listening to it. I'm constantly saturating myself with words of affirmation.
Is that the common theme of all the podcasts that you listen to?
Well, it varies, because I go from listening to people who talk about the universe and some people to talk about the Holy Spirit. So, you have the full spectrum, but they all talk about God. It's all the same. But I'm constantly feeding my spirit, because, and don't think that this is some cute little faith walk. I'm discouraged 90% of the day. Okay? Like, I'm not always having a good day.
What discourages you?
Just not having the relationship that I want, not having the children sitting in the audience yet, not having my daddy here. So there's constant reminders that the enemy will pull on of your insecurities, and you have to learn to say, yeah, I don't have that, but I have this, and so you have to constantly play this Libra scale game to say, I may not have this, but I have that. So it's a mind game. And I listened to Pastor Keon Henderson today. He talked about the battlefield of the mind and understanding that the enemy is at war with your subconscious every day. You may eat something, you may go somewhere, like, you're gonna get sick. And so then back of your head, like, child, I just had this burger, I think I feel sick. So you just started making yourself sick. And he's like, if you're thinking about something happening and then it happens, you're actually experiencing it twice. So let it go. You're attracting it and then you experience it. So I think for me, it's all about speaking that which I seek and then start seeking it when I speak it. And so even today we manifested. I said, man, I want to do a dope shirt collaboration. He's like, I got a design. I was like, already? I was just kidding. I was like, we having a shirt? I said, oh, we're doing a shirt thing. And so he sent me the link today. We selling shirts. And so be careful what you speak, because it might just happen. And I've learned that with my journey, is that I have to be careful what I try to manifest, because I may not be ready for it. And you really do have to be careful what you pray for, because it's going to be starting to chase you down if you say it enough.
Along those lines.
Yes.
So your podcast, what do you read?
I do more audiobooks, because when I paint, I actually listen to books. I'm trying to think of the last thing I read. It was something about love, I'm sure. Can't even think about it. But I do mostly podcasts, because I want like a continuous refreshing word every day. But I call my car my classroom, and I live about 30 minutes from work. So every day on the way to work, I pray nobody calls me, because I actually am in the middle of class every single morning. And then the last 10 minutes of my commute, I listen to worship music every single day. So I get my meet in, I worship, and then I go in there, go into my job, knock it out. On the way out, I put on my paint clothes, put on my worship, and then head to what I'm going to do after work. Every single day.
And I love you are very disciplined, and it seems like
you have to be
very much
have to be.
Yeah. And so how did you develop your routine? Was it over time? You knew
I think
going
it's
in?
over time. You have to understand that what I want is going to require a whole lot of me. A lot of people are asking for all these great things. Let's just say you want kids, right? But you don't know how to balance a checkbook. You can't wash clothes. Your house a mess. So how can you bring another human being into your life if you're not ready for that? And so I said, well, Lord, I want to be a billionaire. I stopped saying millionaire. My mom said, millionaire is cute. Your cousin could do that. You want to be a billionaire. And so billionaire mindset requires me to be cognizant of where I drive, where I go, what I eat, who I hang around, the music I listen to. I'll have my City Girl summer for about 10 minutes, but the rest of the summer is going to require me to listen to some elevated. If I'm going to listen to rap, it's going to have to be some, Nipsey or some, Crit, or some different people that are going to be talking about generational wealth as well as having a good time. You know, it's really understanding what you're doing now that's going to impact the future Melissa. And so I'm always thinking about who that girl is going to be in 10 years or however long God gives me on this earth, what kind of legacy I want to leave on this earth and what that looks like. So I'm thinking about that every day. A lot of people don't think about the tomorrows. They think about right now, today, that's it, you know, and I'm always thinking about, hey, that dash, how's that going to look if today's the last day?
And that dash is between your birth date and the day you pass on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is on your vision board right now?
Well, it's interesting. I had Spanx on there. I had Ford. I had the word VIP. I actually made 2 vision boards this year. I had the word global. I write the word global 22 times every day. And the number 11 is my favorite number. My birthday's May 11th, but 11 is a master number. And twice, 22. I don't know if you guys have heard of Mike Murdoch. And what is my other friend name? There's another one. I'll give you to him in a second. But just learning how to find the power of numbers is very interesting. Finding your birth number, the different numbers that are surrounding around your birth. I mean, a lot of people not into to birth signs and all that stuff. I'm a Taurus, but I'm also a Capricorn rising and moon sign. So learning all the different things that you're made up of and why you're the way you are. And really for me, all of this came from me learning about who I am. That's when I became an artist, is learning who Melissa was. It's cute to do colors, it's cute to do clothes, but once I really owned and sat in the skin of Melissa A. Mitchell, that is when things took off for me. I was able to own who I was, own what I put on easels, own what I put on clothing, own the head wraps, own the queen stature, all of that. It wasn't until I really owned who I was, that was the only time anything manifested for me.
So as someone who grew up in the church, you do have some interest in numerology and astrology.
Absolutely.
Right? How do you not co-sign, but how do you meld those two, right? How do you reconcile those two?
Well, I think when you realize that it's all from God, that's how I justify it. You know, my mom's like, he's going to this astrology, man. I said, well, Mom, you're a Taurus too. This is why you don't want to listen to me. And so, you know, at first, of course, you know, they was demonic. That's from this. But you learn about the origins of why we were given Christianity, why we were told not to look about astrology or not to learn who we are. When you learn about your bloodline, you're like, wait a minute, we came from the most powerful people in the universe. So I'm absolutely going to tap into my ancestors that are actually flowing through me, because there's no way I could have come up with any of these designs on my own. God is definitely speaking through me from people who left their gifts behind. I see these designs in my dreams, and there's no way God could have just given this to me just in this generation, in this lifetime. So I know I'm living out my father's dream, my great-grandmother, my great-aunt, that great-great-great-uncle who may have been a painter who was afraid to put things on canvas. So I know that I am a conduit of the heavens and that I'm actually a proxy for my ancestors. So once I own that, I can't apologize for that. And so whatever that looks like for a Christian, a Hindu, a Jew, whatever it looks like, I know that God is speaking through me and using me in greater ways that is not contained by a religion or just a title in itself. Or doctrine, whatever it is. I know that God is using me for something greater, and that I'm actually sitting on a stage talking about God. While I'm supposed to be talking about art, I'm talking about the Lord. And so if that speaks nothing else, I know that I'm in purpose to do what I'm called to do.
And you consistently talk about your faith. It's something
Absolutely.
That,
Because I mean, nobody was with me when I was in a hospital bed the first part of the year. And the only person that got me through seeing through that was God. And so I've seen God move in my life in ways that I could never even talk about on stage. So the God that I know deserves all the praise. I mean, honestly, I can't even like sit here and be like, yeah, I can't even downplay what God is doing. Like I feel him in my body right now. And so my goal is to transfer that God in me to whoever I come in contact with. And so that's why my art is selling off the shelves, and that's why my bras will sell out within a week, because they're like, we don't know what it is. Everybody keep asking about this bra. I said, because it's the Lord in the bra. It ain't me, you know. And so once you really, really come in true relationship with God, anything you touch gonna turn to gold. Anything you touch, absolutely.
So you're dropping all these gems. Earlier we were talking
Yes.
about mentorship. Right?
Absolutely.
How you've had mentors and people
Listen.
have asked you to be a mentor. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what makes for a good, fruitful mentor-mentee relationship?
So I don't really have that many mentees. I have 2 or 3 that I kind of keep under my wing, and it's really understanding what the objective is for the relationship. Hey, Melissa, I want to learn how to do X, Y, Z. Okay, I might be busy, but during the day, I'll send my mentee a podcast I need him to listen to, and by the end of the week, say, what did you learn from Stephen Furtick? He was like, oh, well, shoot, I said, let me know what you learned. He's like, wow, when you told me to listen to that, I listened to it twice, and so he gives me what he learned. And so he's not so much wanting to be an artist, he wants to be a better man, and better manifester. And so I'm helping him learn who he is first, before we decide what he wants to do artistically. So he eventually wants to design shoes. And so our mentorship is all about cultivating him as a human being first, and then we'll talk about art later on in the year. Because anybody that comes to me, if your spiritual life ain't together, there's nothing we really can do, because that's where it all begins for me. And if you want to come into my stratosphere, you need to do the same.
And then we also talked about the right way to ask about being a mentor. You know?
Absolutely. So I recently had a situation to where someone wanted me to mentor them, and so it looked more like mimicking after a while. I said, is she copying what I'm doing? Is that what's happening? And so it's learning how to, of course, politically correct to talk to someone, but of course people say I remind them of the Basquiat's or the Britos or the Betsy Johnson and all that. I can be influenced by them, but I can't be copying them. And so it's learning your artistic voice and really empowering people to say, hey, you might like what I do, but God got something dope inside of you. Take some time to pull that out. And so it's learning how to make things teachable moments. You don't just push people away because they really may not know any different than what you tell them. And so it's just learning how to be very, very transparent and say, hey, I didn't know the way either. Tell me why you're doing X, Y, Z. And you're like, oh, that's why you're doing this. Okay, well, let's just try to make it your own, make it unique to you. And when you're trying to get a mentor, be very open and honest about what you're trying to do, but still stay unique to you. Don't just try to do this whole domino effect as well, if Sherry doing that, I'm gonna start wearing my dress and my jean jacket too. That's cute. No. Maybe God wants you to wear jean pants and a top. You don't have to do exactly what she's doing. And just learning how to just trust your own voice, and then empowering people to do the same, really.
So it is a fine line, though, between that
Absolutely.
inspiration and then the mimicking.
Uh-huh.
So in your mind, what is that line?
It's that line when I look at your work and I can't tell the difference between the two of ours. I said, is that mine? Is that yours? And so. And again, it's handling the situation as if it were you. It's all, and that's the way I try to do things in situations is, if it were me, how would I want somebody to approach me? And learning how to just handle people with care. Because a lot of times as artists, we're already sensitive. We're already being very vulnerable, being out and about, doing different things. And it's just saying, hey, let's just have a conversation. I think it's dope. I think it's dope that you're brave enough to pick up the brush. Let's just try to change some things, and just being honest about that. And if it becomes a hostile environment, handle it in a city girl manner. Because I am from Miami, by the way. Absolutely.
Maybe a queen.
Yeah, queen city girl.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the other question I had for you, you've had such great success,
Yes.
and I definitely, of course, commend you on that. But what's the biggest failure you've had so far, and what did you learn from that?
So, here's the thing about failing. You think you're supposed to win everything you try to do. I was on the table for a really, really big contract that we were all going to be working on. I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm going to wear this outfit to the opening. I'm going to do this. Hey, I didn't get the email. Oh, yeah, we decided to go another way. Whoa, the nerve of y'all, And it's like, anything that I missed was not for me. And so had I been busy doing that, it would have collided with my Spanx release, and I couldn't have gone to New York the next day. So understanding that some no's are protecting you and positioning you for that yes. Right. And so it's okay to have a couple of failures, because when I get that win, it's gonna be as big as the universe. I did a couple of different things before I even tried Spanx, not even knowing if I would win that. And so I had a moment of silence of nothing was manifesting, nothing happening. And then all of a sudden, everything started hitting at the same time. Spanx is called, then I get Ford, then I get S. And so it was like, it had like a domino effect of like, at first a whole bunch of no's, and it was a whole bunch of yeses. So failures are absolutely necessary, and they really fuel you to get to those next yeses, because it's like, you're upset, use that energy to channel it to something else.
Please join me in saying thank you, y'all.
Thank y'all.
Your art. Hold on. Wait a minute. We forgot a very important part of the program. How are we doing? You think we ready to reveal?
Oh my gosh.
Baby, it's not the boss of you.
He is the boss. That's gorgeous. You got my lashes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Whenever you're ready. Don't take. Art takes time. But she actually kept, so this is it. So every head wrap is named after somebody important in my life. So this is actually the Antoinette design, and that is what she has on as well. So this is dope. So thank you so much for that.